everyone. Wishing everybody a very happy and healthy new year. Greetings from the Humans of Crypto family. As we start off our new season, we promise to bring you a whole bunch of real life crypto stories about passion, innovation from the marvelous and dynamic world of crypto. So let's just dive in. So today our guest is this young and wise gent, Pranav Maheshwari, who's going to be talking about his experience as a blockchain expert and how does he like to engage, educate and inform the youngsters about the crypto and the blockchain ecosystem. So Pranav, very, very lucky to have you on this show. Please, could you just introduce yourself to us?
Thank you, Megha. Thanks, WazirX guys, for having me here. I've been such a pain in your ass for making this happen, making the schedules all in all, and finally it's happening. So really happy that I'm a part of this awesome series that you guys are going on with. I won't say I am young, first of all, and secondly, I won't say I am a blockchain expert sort of thing, because for example, blockchain existed just 4 or 5 years ago, and I won't say anybody's the expert. Everybody is learning in their journey, and all I want to show you guys or share with my experiences what I learned through my journey, and some of the mistakes that I made you could avoid. So eventually, you first of all have your own experiences, have your own mistakes, but there are few things that you can avoid so that you can reach the path and reach the goal you want to in a much simpler or much faster sense. And yeah, I would love to eventually share what I have been thinking about crypto, my expertise or my views as to why blockchain in general as a technology is the way the internet's next revolution, the web 3.0 should come. I would always suggest you guys that always take these kind of advices with a grain of salt, right? As I told you, I'm not an expert. I'm just a person who's opinionated about blockchain, who has been in this space, who has some significance in this space, and hence has been such a very big proponent, or has been so fascinated about blockchain that all he thinks is blockchain, has been evolving through blockchain.
Thank you so much for bringing it up, and the fact that you're actually clarifying the fact that in crypto or in any particular knowledge, one should always do their own research to find their own understanding of a subject matter and then proceed, right? And that's very important given that there's so much clutter around about what crypto is, legal है कि नहीं है, क्या चल रहा है यहाँ पे, रेगुलेशन का क्या हाल है, इंडिया बैन कर देगा कि नहीं कर देगा. There are a lot of things that actually get into the bind space of, because that itself kind of builds more trust and credibility and relatability towards the subject matter, and then you figure it out whether that's something that resonates with you or it doesn't, right? The first segment would be about learning about your journey.
My journey I would say started back off in 2017 when everybody was having this big explosion that, oh, Satoshi Nakamoto, oh, crypto, oh, ICOs, oh my god, Bitcoin, oh my god, Ethereum. And it was all based out of people talking about and earning through I did a big mistake of seeing people's charts and being so fascinated. Oh my god, this guy invested 10,000 rupees and now he's a billionaire, owns a yacht and has a super awesome bungalow in Dubai and things like that. That did was a very big noise at that point in time. That got my attention, but that was not the reason why I got into crypto, right? Or in Web3 in general. What got me into blockchain, or what made me stay here from 2017 was that I was a person who was very pro technology. I was trying to find my way through to understand what would be something that would impact the world and would just have some kind of sense in making that happen. There are many people who are rich and there are many people who are very impactful, and the people who are able to impact the world by 0.00001% have fulfilled their purposes, of being like, being a human or being an organism. And so as the impact theory goes, my impact theory was also so that, I could just somehow eventually impact the world and eventually through my work be a little impactful. So that's where I was actually like, researching through different technologies, try to like, go through the web development realms and see if like, we could automate everything. And I was like, there was some kind of saturation that was happening around there. Eventually turned to machine learning, tried to like, understand how that thing goes, was very much mathematically oriented. And I saw that most of the research that was done at that point in time, at that point in space, was not being applied. What was being applied was a little different from research and was based out of libraries. So switched from there to eventually like, started to think about blockchain as a thing. It's all I would say I was just lucky that I learned and understood blockchain before I could get into crypto and things like that. And that was something which was very, very motivating to me.
Talk about like, when was the first time that you actually owned your own crypto, and why did you think of waiting it out?
I would say like how I bought my first token was like, I tried to buy it like after the hackathon, but because I lost it, I didn't win any prizes. I could not. Then I thought that maybe while we are developing Pipit, it was known something else. It was known as like, the first decentralized Twitter we were trying to develop. I was trying to like, buy through that. I would get paid in that, but because that particular company or that particular project didn't fly off, then again I was with less amount of money. But the first time I got my crypto was because I was consulting a project to get into like, blockchain and things like that. And they were like, okay, you live in India, we might not be able to like, wire transfer you because it's such a big hassle. All we'll do is go on the blockchain and pay you in certain XYZ tokens. Right. And that was the first time I got my first crypto. So like, to be honest, I never bought my first crypto. However, what I did is I got my first crypto because I was paid for the first time in Web3 in crypto.
I just wanted to ask you a couple of questions, Pranav. And the first one is from your tweet, idly. I'm going to read it out. You once tweeted Bitcoin as the next gold, crypto as the next economy, and Ethereum as the next internet. What do you have to say about that?
There were some problems that, eventually if you want to have gold, it's different to have mobile, despite being very rare. And I would say the most solid money that exists, right? That was the problem. And when COVID hit, there was a lot of parachute money being thrown by the government. They were printing money every day, 7% inflation rate in December, just in America while we are talking, which says that they're not just making you guys poor by, having their lives through it, but also by printing money, right? So that was a very, very, very impactful theorem that eventually impacted the world as to, Bitcoin can be the next gold, but more digital, much more mobile, and something which can eventually be, kept in a much secure way through a private wallet. Not, you don't have to do the hassle of having that gold and keeping it in a locker. Bitcoin is the next gold. Like, it's the digital gold, because it's definitely something which has properties of gold, but it is much better. So it's the digital gold, right? Cryptocurrency is the next economy, because the economy at that point in time, in the COVID time, was not flying off well. There were countries, they were trying to help their people, definitely, but they were, making people poorer by doing this parachute money. So people could not believe in governments and the traditional money and the traditional institute that existed at that point in time. NPA rates were super high. So I thought like, crypto is the next economy. And because the internet that currently exists, the spang internet that exists, and this, this formation of narratives, I would definitely suggest you to watch that, movie that Netflix had, The Social Dilemma, in which whatever you think is actually influenced by internet and, is being captivated by these fan companies. Then we cannot make the next internet the mass movement, because then it will not be, not be people owned, but just like in general, it will be owned by these 5 companies. To decentralize that and to make internet a reality in a much more inclusive sense to humans and to people, to make it the mode of communication, to make it the de facto platform for, people to actually live their lives. through COVID times, which was the reality, we have to make it decentralized, and that was through Ethereum. So that was my reason to actually tweet about it. And so it's all about educating people, and in the right senses, and because of less attention span that people had to make it through.
Coming back to the fact that there's a lot of misinformation that is out there in general, because people are making their assumptions, having their own interpretation, and they're having their own dialogues about what it should be like and how it should be like. But the important part here is that there is a community, or there are people in the ecosystem who are also trying to drive more value creation through their work, through their understanding of the space, and there is a lot of reflection that is happening to understand the problems, how can we solve for those things, right? But I just wanted to check in with you. This is for everybody who's listening in. What are the trusted sources where you actually try to consume your information on crypto and blockchain? Where do you think that you can at least read legit resources on the matter?
I would say back in 2017, it was a really, really bloodbath to consume the right knowledge. What I learned from, I would say, is Bitcoin white paper and Ethereum yellow paper. Although they were really, really tough to consume and understand, because they were very, very technical. Because thanks to my people curse their engineering degrees, but I would say I'm really lucky that I was an engineer who could understand the technological language as well as understand it in a very philosophical sense, so that I could eventually make sense of what this Web3 as a technology it is, and why do we need tokens and crypto to actually empower it, right? Crypto is not a good get-rich-quick scheme. Crypto is rather a fuel to make the next economy happen, which will happen on the internet, in the decentralized internet. It's rather the utility, the governance mechanism to, eventually run through that and make it happen, which was not very well proponed. It was understood to be a get-rich-quick scheme. But because I learned or had my knowledge through these trusted sources, and actually I used to ask 100 questions to the people who I believed were doing work for technology and not for crypto, right? Okay. And that was what I had: the best mentors, I had the best advisors, and initially I had the best the white paper and yellow papers to make sense of it. And when I understood this part, I could easily make out what is just a narrative which is false and what is really true, and I should read about it and go in deep aesthetics. What I would suggest right now to people who are trying to get in is, there are many good YouTube platforms where they can go and understand the technology. If you search basics of crypto, you will get scammy stuff. But if you rather search how to learn about blockchain, what is blockchain, and then understand the utility of blockchain and crypto, then understand different projects trying to make something happen, their documentation, their sources, and always through trusted sources, trusted people who have been in this space talking about technology and not token, and how to 10x your wealth. That's the way to go, I would say.
Segment 3, the quick fix. Who is your inspiration from the tech or the crypto community?
It's definitely Vitalik Buterin, and his philosophy about things. And the reason behind that is the way he thinks through how technology should work. His philosophy of being less relevant than more. In a world which is full of controlling the power and having all the power, he is a person who thinks that he should be less relevant, so that eventually decentralization can take power and make internet on Ethereum or internet a blockchain on reality. So I would say definitely Vitalik and its philosophy, because not just this thing, but also he's a person who just does not have depth, but also has a lot of breadth. He knows a lot, and he can go deep inside every part of that thing. So I would say definitely Vitalik Buterin is one person who really inspired me to get in, and now is still an inspiration, despite trying to be less relevant and politically involved in the Ethereum process, which motivates me a lot.
If you ever have to make your own altcoin, what would you name it?
I would never make an altcoin unless and until it is worth, it is worth a token, right? There are lots and lots of coins that were just created to make money, and that's not the intention of having crypto. The reason we create crypto or talk about assets on digital ledger is because they might have certain utility. GRT, the graph, has a utility in the current sense because it will be used to pay queries in the decentralized network. Matic is used to pay, the fees on the Matic network. Ethereum, the ETH token, is actually used to pay the fees for doing a transaction on the Ethereum blockchain. All these things have utility and are the core crux to making, a transaction happen or to do something in the current phase. If I am creating a token of myself, what will be the utility of having it?
So moving on to the most fun question that we have, what is your tech mantra? What is your favorite code? How do you drive yourself?
I have to think about it, to be honest. But this quote of Ethereum Foundation, in which it said that in the world where people are being insecure, try to be insecure, when they try to be relevant, or when they try to take part in some kind of thing, they are happy to dilute the power. In the world where people try to be more leadership oriented and concentrate their power, they are happy to dilute their power, so eventually decentralization can happen, is a quote that definitely does motivate me.
So that's phenomenal, Pranav, and I think really, really interesting insights there. So coming to the last segment out here. So what advice would you like to give the youth?
In 2018, everybody was going away from space, but because I had a fundamental belief, I was there. There were 100 people who got in with me in the crypto space just by looking at screenshots and the lavish lifestyle that people had when they invested in Bitcoin in 2010. And I would say I was also definitely, a person who was motivated by that. But that didn't get me off there. Those 99 people got off the ship. I still remained because I knew it's not a Titanic. Right. So yeah, that I would say definitely one is fundamental belief, and secondly is if you are going wrong, don't be emotionally attached to it. Understand that okay, it's not going my way. Maybe I have to get more knowledge, understand more about it, and then again try. Right. So second would be never giving up. Never giving up. If you understand it, but do make modifications.
So that's about it. And thank you so much, Pranav. This has been really a pleasure. I've learned a lot from you.
Thanks for having me. The show, what you're doing, talking and understanding people's belief in all this noisy crypto Twitter space where there is a lot of I would say there is a lot of uncertainty and there is a lot of news driven, markets that exist. Thanks for doing something which is very fundamentally driven.
On that note, I would love and really appreciate if people would just share your comments on what Pranav and I were discussing today. And if in case you guys have any questions, please feel free to hit us up on YouTube or Twitter. And look forward to hear more about Pranav and his journey, following him on Twitter and understanding what exactly he's up to.